Welcome back to Sweet Red Poppy. On today's episode, we're going to be talking all about Infusible ink. So I have a few different bases here today that we're going to be working with that you might not have expected that you could use Infusible ink with. I'm really excited to share these different materials with you and give you some tips and tricks on how to make them work. If you've worked with Infusible ink, you might have felt a little bit limited by the number of bases that you can use. So I have been doing some testing on my own to figure out which of these materials would actually work with Infusible ink and how to get them to work. Let's go ahead and get started. The first material I want to use today is actually this furry minky blanket. And this is a great base. The reason why this is compatible with Infusible ink is because it's polyester based. So it's a synthetic material, which means the Infusible ink is going to be able to adhere to it. So I'm gonna open this up. This is a blanket that I purchased at Joann. They have a bunch of different colors available, so you can find whichever one you want. Something to keep in mind, when you're using Infusible ink, you'll want to go with a lighter color. That way your Infusible ink shows up. So I chose this light color. That way I'll get a really nice result. You could do it on either side. I'm gonna choose to do it on this flat side. So you have this more of a minky backed side. And I wanna put my design right here. So I'm just laying down my cardstock paper underneath. This is just to protect your mat in case something were to bleed through. Where we have 2 layers of fabric, it's probably not going to be an issue with this, but it's a good habit to get into. I went ahead and pre-cut my transfer, and I've weeded it as well. If you're brand new to Infusible ink and you're wondering how to use Infusible ink, I already made a video on that, so make sure and check that out. I will link it in the description. It gives you all of the step-by-step instructions on using Infusible ink, how it works, kind of like a rundown on the science behind it. So you'll want to check that out. I am going to use my roller. And I just want to clean off this material because we have a ton of fuzz going on here and it can really interfere with your designs. And then I am going to preheat this base, make sure that it's nice and warm, and then put my transfer down, and then I will put my Easy Press down. And I've pulled up my Cricut Easy Press guide on my phone. If you're using an Easy Press, this is a really great tool to use because you can scroll through the materials, find what you're using. So I'm looking for Infusible ink, and then I'm also going to select a base material that's similar to what I'm working with, and it's going to tell me exactly how long I need to put pressure on my transfer sheet and at what temperature. My Easy Press is completely preheated, so I'm going to place it on the surface that I want to press, just warming it up a little bit. And then I'm going to lace my transfer sheet and make sure that you put it down and then you don't move it. So I have that on where I want it. I'm going to use a sheet of parchment paper to cover it up. And I'm going to apply my Easy Press. Just want to make sure that I've completely covered my blanket, and then I'm going to press firmly down on it. The reason I'm giving it some good pressure is because I'm pressing onto a slightly uneven surface, and I would just want to make sure that everything is pressed flat. Now I'm going to take my Easy Press away, remove my parchment paper, and I'm going to do a warm peel. There we have a pretty sweet holiday wishes. Now I have a nice snuggly blanket that I can cuddle up with during the holidays, watch some Hallmark movies, and I have my nice Infusible ink, and I don't have to worry about it flaking or peeling or getting torn off. It's infused into the fabric. The next material that we're going to be working with is actually wood. So this is not, obviously, it's not a polyester surface, it's a natural surface. What you'll want to do to keep it adhered to the surface is just coat it with a sealant. So I'm just going to use some Mod Podge. You could use a different sealing if you wanted to, but you will need something to help it stay on your wood. But the fun thing about this is you'll get a slightly weathered look because you're not adhering it to polyester. You're not going to get those bright, bold results that you would normally get with polyester or polymer, but you will get a fun weathered look that I think is so perfect for Christmas time. There's a few things to think about before you jump into using wood. First off, you want to make sure that the surface is completely flat. You don't want any sap on there. You don't want to get that onto your Easy Press. You want to make sure it's totally flat, totally clean, and it needs to be dry. I've pre-cut this cute little snowflake out of my buffalo check, and I'm going to warm up my surface first. Then I'm going to place my transfer sheet onto my piece of wood, and I want to apply a little bit of tape on the sides as well. What that will do is make sure that your transfer sheet doesn't move while you're pressing it, so you don't get any ghosting. And then I'm using this Cricut tape, which is specifically for Infusible ink, to adhere it down and make sure that it doesn't move around. I've preheated my easy press, and now I'm going to press it. Remove your transfer sheet to reveal your design. At this point, you can go ahead and coat your wood with some Mod Podge or put a sealer on it so that your Infusible ink will stay on your wood. Another unexpected material that you can use Infusible ink on is actually ribbon. And during the holidays, we use so much ribbon when we're wrapping presents or decorating, making wreaths. There's so many different ways to use ribbon. And with Infusible ink, you can really customize the way your ribbon looks. You can add your initials to it. You can add a cute little memento. Really fun. The possibilities are endless, but the reason why ribbon works is because it's actually polyester. So again, you're going back to that synthetic base where your Infusible ink is able to adhere to it. And I have this cute little Merry Christmas message that I'm going to place on it. I'm going to cover it up and go ahead and press it. The settings for this, you'll just use the same polyester settings. I'm going to peel away my transfer sheet, and I'm left with this beautiful Merry Christmas design. Another unexpected base that you might not have thought about is sequins. Now, the reason sequins work, again, they are a synthetic material made out of polyester. So this is perfect for using Infusible ink, and it's really fun because you can make so many different things out of this. I bought a half yard of sequin fabric, and it's actually reversible, so you can push it one way and then push it the other way. You can even put a secret message on it. This is going to be used for a pillow to go with all of my Christmas decor on my couches. And the reason why I'm pressing this before I sew it into a pillow is because I want it to be completely flat. I don't want to have to worry about the seams on the outside because that can make the pressing a little bit uneven. So I'm going to put it on now, and then I'll sew it right after this. Make sure that all of your sequins are facing the same direction. And what's kind of neat about pressing on sequin fabric is that you can press all of the sequins one way, put your Infusible ink on there, adhere it, and then you can push the sequins the opposite way, and you won't be able to see the Infusible ink. So it's kind of like creating a little hidden message in there, which is really fun. I have this Christmas tree that I've cut out of black Infusible ink that I'm going to be using. I'm going to go ahead and press it. Go ahead and remove your transfer sheet to reveal your design. Now, there's one final way that I want to share with you that's really exciting. So if you have a material that isn't compatible with Infusible ink, so maybe it's a natural material and it's not synthetic, there is a little get around to this. What you can do is use glitter iron-on as your base, and you will adhere that to the surface that you want your Infusible ink on. You want to adhere it for just a few seconds, and then you'll place your Infusible ink on top of that. And what's going to happen is the Infusible ink is able to bond with the glitter because it's a polyester based glitter. So it will adhere right on, and that solves the problem of not having an Infusible ink base to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and work with this piece of metal. This is actually from a little frame that I have, and I took the pieces of wood off the sides so that I could get it nice and flat. I've pre-cut my glitter out, so I'm going to center that design. And make sure that you're only pressing for about 5 seconds. You're not doing a full press to adhere it, you're just getting it in place. And just about 5 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're just going to do a warm peel, make sure that everything stays in its place. Now I'm going to line up my Infusible ink with the glitter. At the bottom, once I've centered that design, and you will want to use some tape just to make sure that it stays in place. And this design that I'm using is a little bit of a peekaboo, so I will be able to see the glitter completely in some spots, and then in some spots it will be covered by that Infusible ink, which I think will look really pretty. Give it a solid press. this method will work with a variety of different substrates. So you could also use this on a cotton t-shirt. Pretty much anything that you can put iron onto, you can use this method with. There we have it. It's nice and bright, but you also get that fun glitter peeking through. So I'm going to go ahead and put my frame back together, and then I can hang this up in my house. Thanks so much for tuning in to Sweet Red Poppy today. I loved sharing these tutorials with you. It's always so much fun to teach you guys. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That way you'll get notified the next time one of my crafty videos goes live. Go ahead and leave a comment letting me know what you're planning on making with Infusible ink. I'll see you next week.